Hello, friends! Wonderful friends! It is Nomad Brad coming to you from my box truck. How is everybody doing on this beautiful Wednesday evening? Happy to see you guys here in the chat. Showing up early. Charlie Pepin was first in the chat tonight. We got Polymath in the house. Zane Johnston, Diana Saylor. Diana Saylor is the ultimate soldier. She's been here with Nomad Brad for years. Appreciate Diana Saylor's participation. Will Ty in the house. Donkey de Dawn. Finally made it early to one of these. Happy to have you here tonight, Donkey. Happy to have you here. Charles Serratos in the house. Matt A.K. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We are in San Diego. I am back at the Robb Field parking lot. I went live here, I think last week I went live from here. I just went to the farmer's market last week and got a bunch of vegetables, and I went again tonight. I actually have Sir on Dave and King Gamer parked up with me. They're on the other side of the rig hanging out, and so went over to the farmer's market. It's really nice. It's only like a couple miles from this spot. And so I just rode my bike over, and Dave hopped on his one wheel and went over and got some fresh produce. And I was commenting to Dave this evening, man, this sure is a nice lifestyle, you know, specifically here in San Diego. I mean, you can park on basically on the beach overnight. This area right here out that you're seeing on the live feed, that's the ocean right there. So we're just a little bit off the beach. And then every Wednesday there's a farmer's market, so you can head down to the farmer's market, get your fresh produce. I got some apples and some Asian pears and some cucumbers. And all the produce I got tonight was local, and it was organic. So pretty cool. The prices were competitive also, you know, to what you would pay in a big chain. So it was very nice, a very good little day. And yeah, just appreciating San Diego. As the time here winds down for the season, I know that I will miss it once I leave. But in true nomad fashion, you know, if I stay anywhere for too long, I start to get itchy feet and I'm ready to move on. That's just part of the nomad lifestyle. You know, part of it, I think, is you have so many options. You can be anywhere at any time. And so when you have so many options, it's fun to exercise those. And so I'm here in San Diego. I will be leaving. I'm planning to leave this weekend and head east over to Arizona. I have a couple things to take care of in Arizona. I need to get registration on the box truck and do a couple little cleanups on it. And then I will be coming back to San Diego in November and starting out a big electrical build on that military truck that I showed you guys last week. So that'll be fun. And I think during the winter, I'll probably be back and forth a little bit because it seems like most folks that need work done are here in Southern California. I didn't have very much success last year finding clients for solar work in Arizona, which was kind of shocking. You know, you would think there's so many people in Arizona that need solar. You would think it would be easier to get jobs, but I had almost no jobs in Arizona last year. So we will just see how it goes. I see Charlie Pepin asks right off the bat tonight, have you been to American Girl Mine in Arizona? Yes, I sure have. And I'll mention to you guys that are here in the chat, I'm going to bring up a Facebook page while we're talking. But at American Girl Mine, every year they have a meetup called Van Aid. And I went to it last year. I have a YouTube video on it on my channel. But basically, Van Aid is a big nomad hangout at American Girl Mine, which is technically in California, but it's pretty close to the California-Arizona border. So it's, let's see, let me go here. And so it's on BLM land. Oh, hold on, let me take a look here. Oh, they're changing it. They're changing it up this year. So what Van Aid is, it's an event where basically nomads go and hang out, And if you need work done on your vehicle, then it's just nomads helping nomads. And so you can get some work done. Or if you have a skill set to offer, then you can offer your skills to help other people. So when I went last year, I helped a lady install a full electrical system and solar on her Class C RV, no charge. And then I helped a couple other people with some smaller items. And then there was lots of folks there getting work done. So anything you could need from plumbing to carpentry to electrical, kind of whatever. It's a first come, first serve basis, but the event spans, I think, a couple weeks. So if you go and show up and you need help on your conversion, and you can wait, a few days, odds are you could probably have some work done. So that's something to keep in mind if you guys are interested in attending Van Aid. The one I went to last year, I want to say it was at American Girl Mine, and I want to say it was in December or January. But I just pulled up their Facebook page. So if you guys are interested, just go to Facebook and go to groups and search for Van Aid, and the official Facebook group will pop up. There's 4,000 members. But the admin just posted yesterday that the event is starting November 18th, and it will be on Plamosa Road in Quartzsite. So they changed the location, and they changed the time. It wasn't this early last year. But I know it's kind of last minute, but if you happen to be in Quartzsite in November 18th, you can swing down to Van Aid and help people or receive help. It's kind of it's a cool time. It's a cool event. It's nice to help each other out. And I wonder if they'll do a second one because this is so early in the year. A lot of nomads aren't even in Quartzsite in November. I don't know. Anyway, that's it. That's my pitch. Van Aid, if you guys need some aid with your vans, it's a cool event. So yeah, long story short, Charlie Pepin, I have been to American Girl Mine. That's where Van Aid was last year. It's beautiful. It's a BLM spot. It's easy to access. American Girl Mine is only a couple miles off the highway. So it's very easy to get there, and it's wide open, lots of space. But it's just, it's not, it's like most BLM land. It's not really close to services. It's not far, but, you got to drive half an hour to get to the store or something. So, but yeah, it's a cool spot. I like it. Lots of nomads out there. Let's see what else got going on. We got Rick in the chat. Rick Matthew. This is the gentleman I helped out last week on his Nissan Frontier. Hello, Rick. Happy to see you. Desert Runner Rick. That's his name. Going by Desert Runner Rick. I like that. He says, thanks again for the beautiful job you did. Amazing. I should have stayed a little longer for some steak and eggs. Yes, Rick. I did invite him to stay later in the evening, but he had a bit of a commute. So I understand that he wanted to hit the road. Donkey to Dawn, first person to ever say the name correctly. Well, I'm happy that I was able to deliver a proper pronunciation. Donkey to Dawn. Happy to have you here, brother. Michael, big up from Jamaica. Hello, Michael. Happy to have you here. T-Boff, what's up from SD? T-Boff is in San Diego. Hello. Happy to see you. King Gamer's in the chat. Happy to see you here. Pumbaa from Perth, Australia. Pumbaa, I'm curious, how is van life in Perth? Are you guys doing it out there? Are you able to do it? From what I've seen, it seems like Australia has a lot smaller vehicles. Like most of the vehicles I see are like smaller vans, minivans, and micro camper vans. I'm curious if people are doing van life out there, and then if it's like just a weekend thing, or is it full time? I'd love to know the situation on van life in Australia. Pumbaa, help me out. Give me the details. T-Boff, I love living the van life in San Diego. Me too. Loving it here. Happy to be here. Appreciate you guys allowing me. Yeah, happy to be here. So, little update. I've been doing videos on stealth camping and parking in San Diego just to try to give people an update, let people know what's happening. I need to clean my windows. They're all dirty, so the camera's focusing on the water spots there. That's not super exciting. Yeah, so I stayed, it's been a week since our last chat, and I haven't received any tickets. I've been doing my regular stealth camping, camping on the streets, camping in parking lots. Last night I stayed at Mission Beach parking lot, no tickets. Tonight we're going to stay at Robb Field. I am predicting zero tickets. So it's been good. It seems like, for the most part, law enforcement has been relaxed and they haven't been going too crazy. So I'm happy about that. Let's keep the stretch going. Let's keep the tickets away. Keep van life cruising forward. Charlie Pepin says, I was watching some of your old videos today. Peanut butter and honey and raspberry on rice cakes. Yes, I know it sounds strange, but it's absolutely delicious. I mean, the peanut butter gives you the salty savoriness, and then the honey and raspberry gives you the sweet. And then the rice cake is basically just the delivery method, right? Rice cake has no flavor. But believe it or not, when you make that combination, it's delicious. And you can switch it up. I've done blueberries, strawberries, any kind of berry really, with peanut butter on a rice cake. It's so good. It's so good. I definitely recommend trying it out. Um, it's a good snack because it's somewhat healthy depending on your beliefs. I try to stay away from carbs. And a lot of the breads you get these days, they have like corn syrup and a lot of weird stuff in them. So I try to be healthy when I can. And so for me, uh, rice cakes with peanut butter and honey and fruit is it's a good choice. It goes down smooth. You gotta have a glass of water though. Between dry rice cakes and sticky peanut butter, you gotta have some water handy. Don't uh, don't pack that snack with you for a hike down the mountains. You won't make it. You won't make it. Charlie Pepin says, my goal is to spend December 2025 through winter there, not courtside. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, sure. You can definitely do it. I would say American Girl mine is less busy. Quartzsite is just so busy because that's like the hub where everybody goes. The problem with Quartzsite is there's only one little grocery store in town, and it's not even a real grocery store. So, like, you ain't getting produce. Everything gets basically demolished because you got thousands of nomads all shopping at one little grocery store. So, it gets pretty packed out. From Quartzsite, the only place you can really go is you can drive up to Parker, and you can hit like a real shopping center. There's like a Safeway up there, but that's like I don't know exactly, but that's like probably at least an hour drive. So yeah, that's supplies are limited at American Girl Mine. It's more spread out. You'll have to drive down the highway, but you'll have better options for getting food and stuff. Shadow Reaper, happy to see you here. Okay, Diver in the chat. Hello, Okay Diver. Happy to have you. Diana Sailor says, hit the thumbs up, everyone, if you haven't. Yes. Please, my friends, hit the thumb up. Let me know you're appreciating the content, and we'll keep this pirate ship rolling. So I did a bit of a project today. I installed the TV. If you guys saw in the thumbnail, I'll show you guys how it works. Let's see what we got. Let me turn some lights on so you guys can see. It's getting dark early as winter comes by. It's currently 6:15 and the sun has already set. There's some lights. Boom. Bargain Labels, hello. Happy to have you here. Welcome to the chat. Shadow Reaper Buckeye has a big Costco. That's not too far from Quartzsite. Yeah, not too far. Not too far. A-Flow from Texas. Hello. Hopefully it's cooling down in Texas. The weather down there is crazy. Shadow Reaper, always looking forward to Nomad Brad Lives. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to show you guys how this TV works. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm taking the microphone off. We're going rogue. All right, so this is the TV. It's a 42-inch LG TV, and I got it on Marketplace for only $120. I was very excited about that. It's almost a brand new TV. The manufacturer date is February 2023. So it's like a year old. It's flawless. I bought it from a lady that was moving, and it was only $120. So a very good price point. And I bought a swivel mount off Amazon. So it's really cool. I'll show you guys how it works, but it mounts flush against the wall. And then the important thing is the swivel mount has a latching mechanism, so it locks in place. So that way, like it's locked in place right now. So when I'm driving, it hopefully it'll secure everything and keep it solid, and the TV won't bounce around. And then when I'm parked up, if I want to move it out, I can. So I'll show you guys how it pops out. So it extends forward, and that's not even all the way forward, but it extends forward about 2 feet, foot and a half. So you can kind of just get it closer to you, and then also it tilts. So I have it tilted just kind of a little bit so I can see it easily from the bed. And then the other cool thing is it swivels sideways, so I can actually watch it while I'm cooking. Check this out. So I think it's pretty cool. I'm definitely excited about it. I've been in a van now almost 7 years. This April is going to be 7 years for me, and I've never had a television. The whole goal was to just be in nature and not spend a bunch of time in front of TV. But everyone watches TV once in a while, and I do the same. I watch movies once in a while, or I'll watch YouTube, of course, and watch some of my favorite creators. And so I've always just used my laptop, which is what I'm broadcasting from right now. I have a MacBook Pro, the 16-inch. It's nice, and I've always just been happy with that. But I went and got to looking at Sir on Dave's rig, and he has this same size TV, a 42-inch, up on his wall. And he was showing me a YouTube video, and I was noticing how different the YouTube interface is on a television versus on a computer. And I thought, man, it'd be kind of nice to just lay down and on the big screen, watch a YouTube. And so, yeah, I said, why not? Let's go ahead and throw a TV in. And super happy with how it turned out. And additionally, I think it'll also make a good selling feature for whoever buys the van, because I know a lot of other folks probably have more free time than I do. And so they'll be able to, enjoy more television. And so I think having a brand new 42-inch LG 4K TV on the wall, I think people will appreciate that. So I figured for a $120 investment, I'll get some joy out of it, and then I think it'll add value to a potential buyer. So very happy about the TV. Definitely recommend a setup like that. If you guys are thinking about a TV, try to get something that swivels out. And that mounting bracket was only $27 on Amazon. So turned out really nice. Diana Saylor says, those are so nice. We have one also. John C, hello. Happy to have you in the chat. John C coming through. Big T from Michigan. Charlie Pepin, it will look better in your Isuzu. Charlie, tell me about it. I am so excited on the Isuzu. So I'll tell you a story. I went and met with a friend the other day, Nomad friend here in San Diego, and he's building out an Isuzu box truck similar to what I want. His is 18 feet. It's an absolute monster. And so I went, and he's just beginning his build, so there's not much done to it yet. But I went and walked around inside of it, and oh my goodness, guys, let me tell you, an 18-foot box truck, when it's not built out, it feels massive. I mean, it feels like a hotel room. It's so big. And here's the interesting thing. His box truck has 8-foot ceilings. So that's like regular residential house ceilings. Like the ceiling in here is 7 foot. Pretty much all the U-Hauls have 7-foot ceilings, except the 10-foot box is about a 6-foot ceiling. But stepping up to 8 feet, it just feels so much bigger. So Nomad Brad has decided I will be looking for an 8-foot high box. Yeah, it just feels so amazing, and I'm just envisioning like having floor to ceiling uh, closet space and just so much extra room for storage, and just being in that kind of space feels so much larger. So I'm still planning to do a 16-foot box in length. I don't 18's a little big for me. I don't think I want all that stuff. Honestly, I think I would have a hard time filling up an 18-foot box truck. I mean, that'd be a lot of stuff I'd have to build out. But I'm still planning a 16, but I want to do the 8-foot ceilings. And so there are some really good deals out there to be had if any of you guys are looking at getting a rig. John C asks, are you going to do heated floors? I am not planning to do heated floors. If you do heated floors, there's two options. You can go electrical, like electrical heat strips, which is pretty energy intensive. The other option is you can have some kind of a liquid based radiant piping throughout the floor. That's what most people do that have heated floors. There's a system out there that's basically a water heater, and you can use it to heat your water, but also it'll circulate heat through the floors. But I've never been in a place where it's like that cold. So, in my box truck, even on the coldest day of the year, if I have socks on, it's fine. The floor doesn't feel cold. If you're barefoot with tile floors in a box truck and it's 30 degrees outside, then it's going to be cold on your feet. But, it just in my mind, I don't think the energy consumption of a heated floor for me is going to be a good value. And I love a diesel heater. So like I'll have a diesel heater in there. It'll be cranking, putting out warm heat. So the room itself will be very warm, but heated floor is not for me. I think if you're going to be somewhere where there's a lot of cold, if you're like a mountain person, if you're like an avid skier or snowboarder or snowmobiler, I think heated floors could be a good choice. But I mean, I travel to avoid the bad weather, right? So in the summertime, I'm getting out of the hot places. In the wintertime, I'm getting out of the cold places, which is why I spend winters in Arizona and right now Southern California. So no plans on heated floors, not for me. Okay, cool. I'll show you guys this rig I'm looking at right now. There's so many deals out there if you guys are looking for rigs. So I came across this on Marketplace. Check this out. This is a 2007 Auzu NPR, and this is the 8-foot box. So this gives me the 8-foot ceilings, 16 feet long. This is basically exactly what I'm looking for. They're only at, let's see, can you guys see it? Let me move my face out of the way so you guys can see it. But 2007, they're only asking $8,900 for this thing. 121,000 miles, and it's a diesel. So I've said in the past, I really think I want to get a gas engine. I'm still open. I'm open-minded about it. I think, it's just, we'll just see what happens, but I'm not completely opposed to diesel. So we'll just see what happens. But in my mind, this would be a pretty good rig. A diesel with only 120,000 miles that's pretty low mileage for a diesel. So you're going to get a lot of life out of it still. And the price isn't really high. The main reason I like gas engine vehicles is because they're usually cheaper to purchase. But at this point, the market is so low that you can basically get a diesel, like in this case, for the same price as gas. So, it might happen. Okay, yeah, so let me show you guys. I'm super excited about this. So the reason I like this rig a lot so it's the 16-foot box. I saw somebody asked about the length of it. So a 16-foot box on this vehicle is 23 feet bumper to bumper, which is basically the same size as Sir on Dave's U-Haul, which is parked right next to me. My box truck is 21 feet. So my box truck basically fits in a single parking space. It takes up the whole thing. The bumper might hang over a little bit. If you get the 23 foot like what Sir on Dave has, it still fits in a single spot. He's in a single spot right next to me, but he has just a little more overhang. He's 2 feet longer than me, so he has a couple feet more of overhang, but it still fits. And this box truck will be the same. So the wheelbase is basically the same as Sir on Dave's truck. So that's what's exciting about it is I'm getting, right now I have 12 feet of living space, but I'll be getting 16 feet of living space. So I'll be getting 4 extra feet to add a wet bath and closet and storage. And I'm only adding 2 feet of overall length. But it is overall, it's a big vehicle. I mean, it's tall, it's wide, it's long. It's, we're getting out of you can't really call this van life. So at this point, I've been kind of cruising by and calling myself a van lifer for years now, and I've kind of squeaked by because the truck I'm in now, it's an Econoline cab chassis, so it's technically still kind of a van. But when I go to an NPR box truck like this, it's a truck. So I think I'm gonna call it a truck house. I think I'm gonna call it a truck house instead of van life. It's gonna be truck house life because at this point, with van life, it's a van and you're adding some amenities to make it kind of like a house. But when we talk about doing a 16-foot box truck like this with 8-foot ceilings with a full wet bath, it's a house. It's a tiny house. It really is a house that happens to be built onto a truck. So it's going to be truck house life. Charlie Pepin says 120,000 diesel is like 20,000 on gas. I'm happy to hear it. Okay, cool. Yeah, so look at the pictures on this. So it's a 16-foot box. It's on the NPR chassis. The engine looks really clean. All the components on it look just, free of grime and debris, and it just looks overall like it's pretty well maintained. I don't see rust or corrosion or even like dirt or anything caked on. I mean, the refrigeration lines for this air compressor, those look like they've been replaced. Those don't look like they're from 2007. I can see the bright white markings on that, on the refrigerant lines. The radiator looks like it, I mean, that radiator cap looks super clean. The radiator might have been replaced. It looks like a really clean vehicle. And then let's cruise through the pictures. The exterior, very clean and white. There's not really any damage. There's a little bit of There's a little bit of scuffs on the box, like back here, but overall there's no rash, no smashes. The cab looks very clean and white. It just looks really well taken care of. Here's another shot of it. Here's another shot of the back end. Let's go to the good stuff. Here's a shot of inside the box truck. So you can see it's got the wood cladding all the way down the side, and it has Easy Track, which is this metal horizontal tracking running down. So I'll probably remove the Easy Track if I had this truck, but I would leave the wood cladding. That's a great reference point to screw your plywood wall sheeting onto, and it'll also help retain your wall insulation. Has a wood floor, so that'll be covered over. But if we keep going, look how clean the cab is. Even for 120,000 miles, very clean. I mean, just everything is shiny and washed down. The seat has no tears in it. A lot of these trucks you look at, like the seats are all blown out, the stuffing's ripped out of them. This whole thing just looks really well maintained. And that's what I'm looking for when I buy. Look at this. Here's a shot of the passenger side. Again, very clean. The seats look immaculate. The dash is shiny. There's no cracks. Sometimes you see glove boxes missing and vents broken out. So you can tell whoever owned this truck, it's probably one owner. Yeah, exactly. Here it is right here. It says one owner. So one guy probably owned this for his business, took good care of it, and now he's ready to sell it. And that's what you want to buy. When you buy a vehicle where the interior is really clean and well maintained like this, it says a lot about the person that owned it. And it usually suggests if they're going to go to this length to keep the interior clean and free from damage, they're probably going to do the same for the rest of the components. And that's what it looks like. Everything here looks very well done. And then the last thing I'll show you is it has the lift on the back. And that's one of my main criterias that I don't want to budge on. I want the lift gate, specifically this style, because when you have it put away, it tucks up underneath the chassis of the truck. So it doesn't add to the length of your vehicle. It doesn't block the rear door. Some lift gates store vertically, so you can't access the rear of the vehicle unless you drop the lift gate. That's kind of a deal breaker for me. But this one tucks underneath, and then it just motors up and it goes flush with the rear of the vehicle. So with something like this, I can motor up that lift, and then I have a 3-foot by 7.5-foot platform I can use as a deck. So I'm just picturing myself right now this winter in Arizona out on BLM land, just open up the back door and I got my deck right there, sit in a chair, have a cup of coffee. It's quiet, some birds chirping, sun's coming up over the mountains, lots of mountains in Arizona, a lot of beautiful sunrises. And I think watching the sunrise from the back deck of this box truck would be absolutely fantastic. So I'm very excited about it. This is absolutely the type of rig I'm looking for. And $8,900 is an incredible price. I mean, I just can't get over how cheap that is. So, good news is vehicles are cheap. If you guys are looking for some, there's great deals to be had. And so I have no doubt when the time is right for me to get one, I will have some good options to choose from. Will Ty says, do you intend to have a mechanic look at the engine before you buy? Or will you make a determination on your own? So, Will, that's a good question. Let's see. I've lived in 3 gas-powered vehicles, in a Econoline cargo van and 2 box trucks, and I have owned 1 diesel. My shuttle bus was a diesel. On the gas engine vehicles, I always just inspected them myself, because in my lifetime, I have bought and sold so many vehicles, and I've also maintained so many vehicles myself and worked on them, that I can pretty much tell on a gas engine if it's good or not. But on a diesel, there's so many more components, between the turbocharger and the high pressure fuel system. There's a lot of extra stuff going on. And so I will have, if I bought this box truck, I would have it inspected. And then also just I would want to have the full drivetrain inspected, all the bushings and carrier bearing and all that stuff. So yes, I absolutely recommend everyone have their vehicles inspected, as I had done on my diesel shuttle bus. So that would be my recommendation. It's just a good way. It's a good way to know. It's a good way to know that what you're purchasing is priced properly. Because if it turns out your vehicle needs thousands of dollars of repair, then you should be you can use that to negotiate a lower price, or you can just walk away from the vehicle. Because the last thing you want to do is buy a rig and then find out it's going to need $5,000 in repairs, especially on a diesel. Diesel repairs are very expensive, especially if you get into turbocharger stuff. So I would rather have someone that knows what they're doing look at it. And the thing is, most mechanics have it's called the pre-purchase inspection. That's kind of the code name for it. So if you call a mechanic and say, hey, I need a pre-purchase inspection on a vehicle, they know exactly what you're talking about. They'll have a 50 or 100 point checklist of all the things they look at on the vehicle, and it's priced pretty reasonable. I had one done in Texas on my last box truck before I sold it, and I think it was $105. So for me, $100 that could potentially save you from $5,000 in repairs or more, I think is a good investment, especially if you're not very familiar with vehicles. If you guys aren't familiar, you should absolutely be having inspections done. Charlie Pepin says, isn't Truckhouse Life taken by Timmy? I don't know who Timmy is. I'm not saying I'm going to use the name Truckhouse. I'm just saying that's how I'm going to refer to my vehicle, right? And that's probably how I'll refer to the lifestyle, truck life, right? or truck house life. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I guess I should look into it. I mean, I'm not planning to like sell T-shirts or make a YouTube channel with Truck House Life name. I was just using that to describe my living style because it really is a house built onto a truck. So yeah, no issues. I'm not competing with Timmy in my mind. I guess I should look him up. Let me Google. Let's see who Truck House Timmy is because I have no idea. Truck House Life. Is that the guy? Let's see. Oh, this guy. Oh, he's got a website. Good for him. Truck House Life. Okay, this guy. Yeah, I've seen some of his videos. Yeah, for sure. Yep. Yeah, so I'm not, I'm not trying to compete with him or I'm not going to use that name commercially. That's just how I'll refer to my lifestyle. I got no problem with that. Let's see. Will Ty, do you intend to have a mechanic? Oh, yeah, I already did that one. Yes, I do. Definitely having a mechanic. Check it out. Charles Serratos, that would be easy to keep up. I agree with you. Carl says, hello, how will you do cab to box pass through for safety? Carl, good question. So, some people have sent me videos. There is a way to do a cab to box pass through on a cab over style rig. It is possible, but it's not ideal because of the height of the cab. It would the door would have to be like sideways, and you'd kind of have to like crawl into it. So I don't plan to do that. I've mentioned multiple times in my videos the reason I did this was for safety, and I mentioned multiple times I will never have a vehicle where I can't get from the box to the cab for safety. But, they say never. And so in almost 7 years of living in my vehicle, I've never had a situation where I've needed to get from my box truck into the cab for safety. It's just never happened. And so I've just decided I'm okay with that. And I'm just going to let it ride. And I'm just going to have the mindset that it's probably going to be okay. I would prefer, of course, to have that access. But I don't think it's going to be very practical in this application. And so I'm not going to worry about it. But what I am considering, I'm always keeping my mind open. I am considering doing a side entrance door rather than having the main entrance be on the rear. I'm considering a side entrance door. And then on the rear, I'm considering doing... So if you guys know Wanderbox, he has the clamshell opening where you basically cut the rear roll-up door in half and the top part hinges up and the bottom part hinges down. But what my friend Jason did, whose box truck I looked at earlier with the 18-foot NPR, he has the top part lift up, but on the bottom, instead of having it fold down, he has two barn doors that open. And so the idea is you can open those barn doors from the outside without having to raise the hatch. So like if you want to throw in groceries or like load something from Home Depot, you could just open the barn doors like an old 90s Chevy Suburban. Some of those had barn doors you could open and close. And so the idea is you could open the barn doors from the outside. I would still have primary access through a side door, but then also I'd have the barn doors. So I would have two exit points in the vehicle, but still I would not have a direct box to cab. So I'm just kicking that around still, not 100% sure on it. Avery Doberman, hello. Thank you for joining us today. I see Avery just left a super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Appreciate the contribution. It helps out. It helps keep the wheels turning on the box truck. Avery says, I would get it registered in an emissions-free state where they don't test and do a DEF delete and tune. Thank you, Avery. I appreciate that. I agree with you. I will be registering my vehicles in Yuma, Arizona. That's where my dad lives, and they do not have emissions. So I will. And the cool thing about Arizona is, first of all, the driver's licenses last forever. Their driver's licenses don't expire for like 30 years. I'll show you guys. It's crazy. So Arizona is super friendly. I've said this before to like RVers and travelers. So check this out. This is my driver's license. I'm going to cover up the address so nobody shows up at my dad's house. So if you look at this, um, it doesn't say that. Yeah, okay. It was issued in 2019 and it expires in 2050. So that's like 31 years that this driver's license is valid for. 31 years. And I paid like $100 for it. It's good for 30 years. And then the other cool thing about Arizona is there's no emissions, at least if you're not in a big city. I think Phoenix has emissions, but all the smaller towns, no emissions. And it's fairly affordable, so they don't charge you a lot to register it, but you can register your vehicle for up to 5 years at a time. So, some states make you go every year, like Texas is like once a year. Other states like Oregon are 2 years, but up to 5 years in Arizona. So I think that's pretty cool. It's a pretty good value. And on this next box truck that I get, I'll probably do a 5-year registration because I'm planning on keeping it for a while. I say that every time, but this time I am. We'll see what happens. But anyway, yeah, so I'll do it in Arizona. Arizona is a great state to register a vehicle. Dr. Acer Chromebook with the gifts. He is the Santa Claus of October. You're the Halloween Claus, sir. He gifted 5 Nomad Brad memberships. I appreciate you, Acer Chromebook. Thank you for sharing the love. He gifted a membership to Charles Serratos, DJ Life TV, Nomad Man 777, Julia Drums, and Code Red were all gifted memberships. Thank you so much. Very kind of you, sir. Appreciate it. Anyone that has a Nomad Brad membership gets early access to the live chats. So, I'm sorry, not the live chats, to my regularly published videos. So, usually I try to put my videos, I actually complete my videos around Friday usually. So if you're a member, then you get to watch it early. Also, I don't know if it's a big deal or not, but any of the members get a free sticker. So if you guys are interested in a Nomad Brad sticker to put on your toolbox or on your box truck or on your refrigerator, if you email me and tell me you're a subscriber and give me an address, and I will send you a free sticker, no charge, with a handwritten note, autographed by Nomad Brad. Woo! What more could you want? What more could you want? And that goes for all the free channel members that got gifted here today. If you want a sticker, send me your address. Carl says he will be over 10,000 pounds and subject to commercial stops. DEF delete is a big fine. So I am not subject to commercial stops. The vehicle I have now is 11,000 pounds. You're only subject to commercial stops if you are over, I think it's like 26,000 pounds, or if you are hauling for hire. If you are commercially transporting stuff, then you are subject to commercial stops. Or if you're over like 25, it's like 25 or 26,000 pounds, but otherwise it's not true. Okay. Carl says you can tell he's never had turbo repair and had to pay for DEF fluid. Yes, Carl, I'm aware that diesel repairs are expensive. That's part of why I like gas engines. But also my thought is, when I'm getting into these bigger rigs, especially a 16-foot box truck, I just don't know how, because the biggest gas engine they really make in these is a 6-liter V8. And I'm not confident a 6-liter V8 is going to have the power to move a fully loaded 16-foot box truck. The weight, these things can handle up to 14,000 pounds gross. I'm 11,000 pounds right now. And so with this new build, with more stuff I'm putting in, I'm probably going to be at 12,000 pounds. And so I don't know how a V8 is going to be able to move that weight around. So I'm thinking a 5-liter turbo diesel might give me more power to move the weight. But yeah, I know diesel repairs are expensive. That's why I want to have it checked out. And hopefully, if it's got 121,000 miles, hopefully I can get a few years out of it before any major mileage. I did have a 7.3 shuttle bus, turbo diesel that I drove, lived in for about a year. And yeah, didn't have any issues, but I know it's expensive. So hope to not have to deal with that. Uh, Talaga, that's my only downfall. I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to working on my own vehicles. Yeah, that's the thing. If you don't know, then definitely have a mechanic check it out. And it's good to learn. If you're going to be a nomad, you really have to learn some basic stuff on your own. You should learn some basic electrical troubleshooting. You should learn you should be able to change out a starter, change out a battery, change out an alternator, change your serpentine belt. There's certain things you should be able to do. I did all that on this vehicle myself. I did the alternator, the starter, the battery, and the serpentine belt. Saves you a ton of money. And also, sometimes you might find yourself in a situation where you don't have anyone to help you. And so it's nice if you can at least have some skills to help yourself out of a bad situation, and especially with electrical. So I have a lady that I did some work for on her ProMaster in Austin, Texas, and she just reached out to me this morning. Her DC to DC charger quit working, and she's somewhere where there's not a lot of sun, and so her batteries are dying, and she doesn't know what to do about it. And it's troubleshooting a DC to DC is pretty simple electrical, and so it's like she's kind of just stuck. And she did ultimately find somebody that had a voltmeter and that had some electrical experience, but the both of them together had to call me still to try to figure out what the issue was. It turns out it was just a blown fuse, but she wasn't able to figure that out on her own. And so it's pretty dangerous, I think, if you're going to be a nomad and you don't even know how. And I'm not trying to speak bad about her, but it's dangerous to be a nomad and you don't even know how to do basic stuff, because then you're just relying on anytime something happens, there's going to be someone there to help you, and that's not always the case. You should be able to change a tire. I blew out a tire in this thing on the freeway in Texas. I jacked it up on the side of the highway, changed out the tire by myself. These are all things you should be able and willing to do, because a lot of times you might not be in a location where you can just call someone to come save you. If you're 10 miles deep on BLM land, AAA is not going to come get you. And it's going to cost you thousands of dollars to have a tow truck come pick you up out of the forest. It gets expensive really fast. So I would definitely recommend you guys have at least some basic skills if you're going to be living this lifestyle. CMH Bullet, hello, New Jersey, Northern New Jersey. CMH Bullet, happy to see you. Happy to have you here in the chat. Code Red says paying it forward due to Dr. Acer Chromebook. What does that mean? Code Red is gifting memberships. Oh my goodness. Everyone is in a gifting mood. I appreciate it, guys. Helping out the community. Helping out the community. Code Red gave some memberships. What did he give? He gifted out 5 memberships. Heck yeah. Donkey to Dawn subscribed as a silver nomad. Thank you, Donkey to Dawn. Happy to have you here. If you want a sticker, send me an email with a shipping address for you. My email is nomadbrad503@gmail.com. Happy to give you guys a sticker. Sean says, hi, I was thinking about doing a step van conversion until I saw Paul's channel. It seems his videos, he gets pulled over by the highway patrol and DOT all the time. Yeah, I've seen Sean's videos too. If you guys are unfamiliar, I'm sorry, Sean's videos. You're Sean. I've seen Paul's videos. I actually met Paul. I met Paul last year at Schoolypalooza, and then Paul was down at Van Aid with his brand new school bus. So it was super cool to meet Paul in person. He's such a nice guy. Really just humble, down to earth guy. You never know when you meet your heroes, not really heroes, but when you meet people online, you never know what they're going to be like in person. He is a super kind, helpful person. So if you come down to Arizona this year, if you come to Schoolie Palooza or you come to Van Aid, there is a high likelihood you will be able to meet Paul Barger. This is him. He was the bread trucker. He had this bread truck that he lived and traveled in, and he got absolutely harassed by law enforcement. He has several videos that have millions of views from the police just shaking him down. And I appreciate the police for what they do, and I understand that we have to have law enforcement. We can't rely on self-governance, right? There's a lot of dishonest people and people that will take advantage if there's no one to hold them accountable, and ultimately that's law enforcement's job, is to hold them accountable. And so we have to have law enforcement, but I do not appreciate the way that law enforcement try to infringe on our rights and incriminate us and single us out. And when I say us, I mean all kinds of people, right? Depending on your ace or your race or your vehicle or how your physical appearance comes off, a lot of times police will judge you and then they will try to incriminate you. And that's what happened to Paul. If you guys are curious, go to his channel, Paul Barger Bread Trucker, and he has this video here, 2 million views, pulled over by canine police. 1.3 million views, pulled over by Idaho State Police. This one's 1 million views, pulled over in Arizona. So this guy, I mean, he's a really kind person, but he has kind of a bit of a hippie look. He's got like the big beard, kind of a big dude. And his bread truck, it wasn't the cleanest rig. It kind of looks like, let me see if I can find a picture of it. It kind of looks like, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It just looks it looks a little old and maybe a little outdated. And so I think people were singling him out for that reason. But he went to multiple states. I mean, he got pulled over in Arizona, in Idaho, in Nevada. He got pulled over quite a bit. And they hassled him, It's like when they pulled him over, he wasn't doing anything wrong. He wasn't speeding. Those trucks don't speed, by the way. If you get pulled over for speeding in a box truck, it's BS because these things don't go fast enough. But they were like questioning him. They were asking about drugs. Multiple times they brought canines out to search his vehicle for drugs. So for some reason, these bread trucks seem to draw a lot of law enforcement attention. And so that's something to consider. In my box trucks, I've never, let me think, hold on, before I say anything, let me think. In my basically 3 years, I think I have about 3 years combined living in box trucks. I've only been pulled over once. One time I got pulled over, and it was from a highway patrol guy, and they were doing commercial vehicle inspections. And this was my first box truck, and it had the dot stickers on the side, DOT, and he thought I was transporting commercially, which, as the gentleman mentioned earlier, if you're transporting commercially, you have to stop and get inspected. And so he was pulling me over to inspect my load. He said they were doing some surprise inspection, and I told him, this is a house, there's no load. And I opened the back door and showed him inside, and he was like, oh. I could tell he did not at all expect that there was a house inside. But as soon as he saw what it was, he just let me go. So that's the only time I've ever been pulled over in a box truck. And yeah, there was no issue. They let me go. So definitely box trucks, law enforcement seem to be pretty friendly with them. I think the biggest thing is just how you keep your vehicle, the condition of it. Obviously, this new one I have now has the vinyl wrap. It looks like a work truck, so no issues. And I think with the Auzu NPR, I think it'll be the same. It looks like a commercial vehicle. There's very few people that are converting NPRs into box trucks or into tiny homes outside of like our niche box truck community, right? So for the most part, I think it's going to be pretty under the radar. Avery Doberman says, I think he was talking about the guy that said DEF is a big fine. Yeah, it's a fine if you remove the DEF from your vehicle. And actually, so here's a story too. If you guys know Zach Zoller, I had some videos with him. He has that big tan box truck. So he purchased that and the DEF system was removed. And he didn't even know it. Like he doesn't even didn't even know what DEF was. He just bought this box truck. It turns out the DEF system was removed, and he took it to a mechanic in Bend, Oregon to have some work done to it, and they refused to service it because the DEF system was removed. So I think the shops can get fined if they work on vehicles without DEF. So that's definitely something to consider if you try to remove it. Okay, Popo says, I'm a beginner on car camping. I travel in my Tesla Model Y. Do you recommend getting a sleeping cot? Tesla Model Y? That's fancy. That's a big Tesla, though. If you're going to camp in a Tesla, the Model Y is definitely the one to do. That's almost like a mini. It's not quite a mini SUV. It's not like the Model X, but it's a big high top sedan. Yeah, Popo, I would get a cot. Well, I don't think you necessarily. Well, here's the thing. You got options. If you get a cot, you can raise it a little bit, and you could use underneath the cot for storage. So that would be the benefit of a cot, is you would have some storage. Otherwise, you could just do like a folding camping mattress, and I think it would be plenty comfortable. I think a folding camping mattress would be more comfortable than a cot. The challenge with a cot is it kind of sags in the middle. So I just don't know long term. I guess it depends on just your personal preference. But for me personally, I wouldn't be comfortable long term sleeping in something that sagged in the middle, because at the middle of the night, you're going to end up just kind of settling down at the lowest point, and it's kind of like it's on a slant. So I wouldn't enjoy a cot personally. But I think for some people, a cot is fine. But I would probably do like a sleeping, some kind of a camping sleeping pad thing. Something, and it depends too if you want to have like a dedicated sleeping spot, or if you want something that folds up during the day. Let's see. I don't want to be in YouTube. Let me Google search this. So they make, let's see, they make like these. Let's see, are you guys on the same page as me? Yeah. So they make these type of things, right? So that's like a twin mattress, 31 inches wide, 75 inches long. And it's a trifold, as you can see here. So in theory, you could actually set it up, like if you're watching a movie or you're lounging during the day, you could set it up like this, and then you could have like a little back support be elevated, and then for bedtime you could drop it down flat. And then if you needed to, you can fold it up. It's still going to take, when you fold it, it's going to be pretty big, but still you could fold it and move it over and still have room to, haul other stuff. So I think this is what I would get. I would get a trifold mattress. It's 4 inches thick. That's going to be pretty comfortable. It has 156 reviews, and it's 4.5 stars. So I would probably get something like that personally. That would be my choice. Charlie Pepin says, does 2007 have DEF? Honestly, guys, I don't know if it does. I talked to Sir on Dave, and I thought he said DEF goes back to the early 2000s. But I was looking at one a while ago, and it was like an '07, and I don't think it had DEF. So I don't know if it depends on the vehicles. I don't know how that works, but I'm kind of thinking in '07. I don't think this one has DEF. Let me go back and take a look at it. Oops. What's happening here? Saved. Right here. Because, see, the thing is, on these rigs, the DEF system is typically right here. Like, you'll see a jug with the little fill lid right here. And I don't see it. And if we look at the other side, I don't see a jug with the DEF fill. And they only have one fuel inlet. So I do not believe this vehicle has DEF. Like, I'll show you guys what that looks like. Let's go. If you look at like a newer one, here's a 2016. Okay, see this right here? That little jug with the blue lid on it, that's the DEF tank. So that previous one did not have a jug with a lid. So I don't think the '07 has, I don't think it has DEF. Let's ask Google, what year was DEF required? 2010. We asked Google. The EPA required the use of diesel exhaust fluid in 2010 for medium and heavy duty vehicles. So there you go. 2010 is the year. So as long as you get a vehicle older than 2010, which the one I showed you guys I'm interested in is an '07, then no DEF. So no DEF system to worry about. Charles Serrato says, come on guys with the thumbs up. 86 watching and only 45 likes. Let's get the likes up. Doesn't cost you anything to hit the likes, hit the thumbs up. Let me know. Let me know you appreciate the live stream. Alvin Smith said, that's very true. That's why I worry for women who are picking up this lifestyle unprepared. I agree with you. There's been a lot of criticism for Bob Wells from Cheap RV Living. Now, I worked with Bob Wells for a year. I traveled with Bob Wells and helped him do his filming for Homes on Wheels Alliance as well as Cheap RV Living. And he's a great person. Very kind, very generous. He gives away so much of his money. There's not a selfish bone in his body. However, some people were criticizing him because he's encouraging a lot of people that are financially and physically underprepared to live in vans. Can you guys see this? You see this guy right here? That's Nomad Brad doing an Instant Pot cooking video with Bob Wells. This was on BLM land in Sisters, Oregon, 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I made that video with Bob. Anyway, super kind guy. But yeah, that's a concern, right? I think he's a little overly optimistic with encouraging people that they can live on, $700 a month and travel in a van. Because the reality is you can hit one van repair bill, especially in this economy, and a van repair could be $2,000 easily. And so these people that are on super low fixed incomes, they're out there, they break down, and they don't have the money to fix themselves. And then they're in a worse position because now they really are stuck in a vehicle without money and they can't move it, and they could potentially be in a pretty bad situation. So it's tough out there, but I definitely would encourage anybody watching, if you're going to be living this lifestyle, you should be prepared to at least understand how to do some things yourself. Knowledge is power. Rhymes with Orange in the chat. Good evening. Happy to see you here. Rhymes with Orange is a tour bus driver. I thought about you the other day, Rhymes with Orange. I was in the parking lot at Mission Beach, and there were two huge SD charters, San Diego charter trucks that pulled in. These things were monster. They were on like the International or Freightliner chassis, but I mean, they were so stinking long. They must have been 40 feet long, bumper to bumper, and they were just so cool. And I thought about you, man. I thought, man, it'd be cool to convert and live in one of those. You'd be living luxury. Diana says, do you have an impact or just a four-way? I assume Diana is asking about for changing tires. Let me know, Diana, if that's not what you're talking about. But I assume she means for changing tires. So there's an impact driver, and then there's like a four-way breaker bar to break the lugs loose. And so I don't have either. What I have is, so I'll show you guys. We'll just talk about all kinds of stuff tonight. Four-way tire change. I don't even know what they call it. Breaker bar. So when it comes to changing a tire, they have these things. It's called a four-way. And it basically, it locks onto the lug nut, and then it gives you leverage, right? Because it has those two bars that span sideways. So you can hold on to it and twist it. And you can also step on it. So if you have enough body weight, you could step on it to break your lug loose. So this is a good tool to have to change out a tire on the side of the road, because a lot of times when you go to a tire shop, they always torque your wheels down with an impact wrench, and they torque those down so tight that it's very difficult to remove them by hand on your own without an impactor. So something like this is a great choice, but I have a breaker bar, which is even better, just because of the length. So this is a 36-inch breaker bar. The one I have it's not 36. It might be a 30-inch, but it's about a 30-inch bar, and so you can easily just pull on it and break the lug loose. So either way, it's good to have something to help yourself out of a sticky situation. But yeah, Diana, a four-way is good. I would say don't get an impactor because, I mean, unless you plan on doing a bunch of mechanic work, you're not going to have a lot of use for an impactor besides changing a tire. And the times you're going to need it is going to be very slim, and it takes up a lot of space, and it's expensive. So I would just get a four-way. You don't even need a breaker bar. How much is that four-way? Let's see. Look at that. You get a four-way on Amazon for 24 bucks. So I would just get a four-way and call it good, and you should be fine. Mountains for Me says, I've been in my 7.3 for quite a few years. I can do basic, but download knowledge from the internet. Yeah, me too. I do YouTube for everything if I need to know how. YouTube is a great resource for how-to videos, not just for building out your rig and picking out the best refrigerator, but changing a starter, or an alternator, or a battery. There's a lot of good reasons to use YouTube to get that information. Let's scroll back to the chat. See what's going on. Yeah, Dr. Acer Chromebook. Going back to the Paul Barger videos, you're right. And what's really messed up is you can see in that video, like, she's almost got a smirk. Like, like these cops, they just get excited at the thought that they're going to catch somebody. Right? It's almost like it makes them happy. Like, they're like, oh, we're going to catch this guy. He's got pot in his bread truck. We're going to arrest him. Like, yeah. And that's the attitude that bothers me. I don't like that they take pleasure in it. And a lot of the videos you watch, if you go down the YouTube rabbit hole of like some of the crazy cop videos, and again, I'm not saying all cops are bad, but a lot of them get pleasure in busting people, and I don't think that's the right attitude. Let's see what we got here. Carl says the diesel box trucks will go 70 to 75. My 18-wheeler would go 85. Nice. Good to know. That's something else to consider. It's nice to be able to go 70, 75 down the freeway. John C., what is going on? John says, I remember the first time I got my load inspected by the butt doctor. Oh my goodness. John C with the jokes tonight. John C's got the jokes tonight. Do we have a... Is there an emoji for that? Where's the flame? Give me the flame emoji. Where's... There's no flame emoji? Well, we got a heart. We got a heart on fire. That's the only emoji we get. I'm dropping a burning heart for John C. with his... Oh my goodness, John C. You're hilarious. I love it. I'm glad you guys are having fun. John C. must have got a prostate exam. I know that's coming for me eventually. Not looking forward to it. Definitely not looking forward to it. There we go. King Gamer dropping the fire. Appreciate you, King Gamer. Let's see what else we got in the chat. What else we got in the chat? Mountains for me. Some like hammocks. Yeah, some people like hammocks. It just depends. I can't do it, but a lot of people do. And in a lot of parts of the world, they sleep full time in hammocks. Charles Serratos, DEF was brought out in 2010. Yes, sir. 2010 required, but can't register in Cali. Yeah, that's true. California passed a rule that you cannot register a vehicle that's diesel without DEF. So part of the reason that box truck I was showing you is so cheap is because it's a pre-DEF model, and so you can't register them in California. So the only person that's going to buy that vehicle is going to ship it out of the state, and that's why they're having a difficult time selling it. And that's why Nomad Brad's going to be there to swoop it up and take advantage. Get me a good deal on a diesel. Popo says, I don't go under 20% on my battery. I'll probably stick with the West Coast. Yeah, having a Tesla is cool because you don't pay for gas, but you got to stick to the coast, basically. Or any, cities, right? Like, you just have to be more specific about your planning in the sense that, Tesla has a pretty good network of chargers. I saw lots of chargers when I was in Reno, Nevada. You can still make some moves, but I think the limit on your range is like, depending on your vehicle, especially if you're going to keep 20% battery, you're probably going to be under 300 miles. So you just got to be careful where you go, but there's more and more chargers available. So it can be done. But yeah, you could live lavishly in California, because here's the thing. I feel like in California, nobody's going to suspect you of living in a Tesla Model Y. So you could probably park that thing all over the place. Nobody's going to hassle you. Charge it for, affordable or for free. So it's going to be a good deal. Rhymes with Orange says, I can only hit the like button once. Thank you, Rhymes with Orange. I appreciate you. I was just talking to the folks that didn't drop a like. If you have not dropped a like on the live stream, please do so. It helps out the channel. It helps broadcast it to more people. Shadow Reaper says, wear beard? ? I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about my facial hair? It's growing out. It's growing out. I can't grow a full beard though. At 39 years old, I still don't have enough facial hair for a full beard. So this is what I got to work with. Popo says, I tried one night in Yosemite with just a camping pad and sleeping bag. It was not great. Yeah, I agree with you, Popo. You could try the cot. I would get one of those 4-inch pads like I showed earlier. I think that's going to be clutch. Man, there's a ton of likes coming in. I appreciate you guys. I'm seeing all these hearts on fire. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Carl says, if it doesn't have DEF and after treatment, it will have EGR system, turbo intercooler. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. Yeah, if it doesn't have DEF, you're still going to have the turbo and the EGR. There's still a lot of extra components. And I've said that from day one with my vehicles. That's why I don't like diesel, is because of all those extra components. The EGR, the turbo, the injectors are expensive. I can get an injector for this V10 for $100. Injector on a diesel is $800. So, but, he says, yeah, that's a good diesel engine pre-DEF. So there you go. Carl gave me his blessing. Pre-diesel or pre-DEF is a good engine. So that's probably what we're looking at. Popo says, "Were you 18 in this video?" I know, man. No, that video is only 4 years ago. In the cheap RV living video, I think that's what you're talking about. In the cheap RV living video, I back then I was clean shaven, and I look a lot younger. And also, living the nomad life aged me a little bit. I've been out in the sun, just out here living it, and I got a few more wrinkles. So yeah, I've always had a baby face. Even right now, I have gray hair, which is a giveaway to my age. But I think without the gray hair, my face itself doesn't look 39. I think I could pass for early 30s if I was all shaven up. So I got the young looking genetics. Rhymes with Orange says, "I used to drive for that company." Oh, the charter company. Yeah. Yeah. Saw the rig, man. Saw the rig and thought about you. Diana Saylor says, yes, she was talking about the four-way versus the impact. Yeah, so Diana Saylor, you're on the right path. Definitely get a four-way. And then you're going to want some kind of a jack system as well, because if you have to change out a tire, and that's like the most basic thing, right, is a tire repair. If you have to change out your tire, you're going to have to jack up the vehicle. And so I don't know if your schoolie has a jack with it. I have no idea. What standard on those. So I'll show you what I'm using. Harbor Freight is good for low prices. So if you get a bottle jack, it's pretty small. So like you could get, let's see, 4-ton ain't gonna cut it. That's only 8,000 pounds. Here, you could get this one. And this 8-ton bottle jack, that'll lift up to 8 times 2 is 16. That'll lift up to 16,000 pounds. And I can guarantee your short bus will not ever be more than 16,000 pounds. And so if you get something like this, it's $34. You can get it from your local Harbor Freight. And that's really easy. It's a little bit heavy, but you just slide it underneath your axle and then jack it up, and you can easily change a tire. And what's nice about it is it's physically pretty small. I know in the photo it's hard to understand scale, but I have a 12-ton for my truck, and it's about this tall, so it's pretty compact, and it's about this big around. So something like that, you can easily throw it under a shelf, under a bench, and with this and a four-way, you will be able to change a tire. Matt AK says, I drove tour buses for 5 years in my 20s all over Western USA and 4 summers in Alaska. That sounds like fun. Yeah. Matt AK is ready for the road. He's been driving tour buses for 5 years. You're road ready, baby. Sir on Dave's got the Milwaukee half-inch. Hell yeah. Yeah, Sir on Dave's a mechanic. If you guys do want to get an impactor, Milwaukee is probably the best, probably the most, how would I say this? Probably the highest quality power tool you can get in the cordless, especially. I know all the mechanics, all the pros use Milwaukee. I personally use Makita, which is like, it's a close second place, but I'll agree Makita is probably not as heavy duty as Milwaukee. Dustin says you can get a torque multiplier. That's also a good idea. Where's Winnie says, single woman traveler here, hoping RTR will help me learn about my rig. Where's Winnie? Hello. Yeah, definitely go to the WRTR. I think Sue Ann still runs that. So yeah, that's a good spot for info. And the cool thing is, it's women helping women, sharing their experience, and they might actually give you some hands-on. So if you have a specific question, Winnie, about your rig, like if you're trying to figure out how do I change a tire, I know one year they actually did a tire changing class at WRTR. So it's a good resource. Definitely hit it up. Ask questions. Make a list. And they will help you. It's a good community. And also go to the regular RTR. The WRTR is specific for women, and you'll get a lot of knowledge there. But if you go to the regular RTR, it will also, you'll meet a lot of male nomads, and they will also have knowledge and experience. And there's, realistically, there's going to be a lot of more men nomads that that have knowledge and experience working on vehicles than women, just because traditionally mechanics and trades are a male dominated industry. So you will get good knowledge and experience from the men that have worked on vehicles. What do we got? Charles Serrato says, I have a Matco half-inch impact. Matco, that's big time. That's the professional mechanic brand. Good stuff. If you win the lottery, you can buy a Snap-on. Big T says, have you figured out what kind of lift system you want for your bed? Um, what I'm thinking, Big T, I was talking to, who was I talking to? I was talking to Rick, the gentleman with the Nissan Frontier, who I installed the lights for and the electrical for last week at Fiesta Island. And he mentioned, because I showed him that garage lift system that I was looking at on Amazon. I don't, all the power lifts are like 3,000. Well, there's not a lot of options for power lifts. Basically, all you have is the Happy Jack, which is like 3 grand. And I'm not going to pay 3 grand for a bed lift. And so what I had been considering is one of these guys on Amazon. It's meant for overhead storage in a garage. And it has a little gear system, 179 bucks. But I was talking to Rick at the beach, and he recommended he said I can do this whole thing myself with climbing rope and pulleys. So I wouldn't even need to buy this system. I could just use climbers rope and pulleys and a couple doublers, so it'd be super easy to do it by myself. So I might just honestly DIY it with climbing rope, at least initially, and then maybe down the road I'll do something electric, but that's where I'm at right now. The reality is, here's the reality. And if Sir on Dave is still watching, if we can figure out some kind of a motorized bed lift system package that we can sell for around $1,000, I think there'd be a big market for that. Because if I could pay $1,000 and have a bed lift system that I know is going to work and be dependable, I would buy that, and I think a lot of other people would. I would spend 1,000, but 3,000, that's pushing it. I ain't doing it. So there's definitely a hole in the market for a motorized bed lift at about 1,000 bucks. Brendan says, what's DEF? DEF, diesel exhaust fluid. So diesel vehicles from 2010 and on have to have a fluid added to them, and they have a second tank like a gas tank. And so you have to put a second fluid in your vehicle that gets consumed like fuel. So it's an added expense. And then the whole diesel exhaust fluid system is a whole nother system that can break down and have issues. And it's just a whole nother issue you have to deal with. Diana says, how can I put a secure ring bolt for a swing in the ceiling? That's a good question. Diana Saylor has a shuttle bus. I'm trying to think. I think, Diana, I don't know what the roof of your shuttle bus looks like. I'm wondering, I'm not too familiar with school buses. What does the interior look like? I don't think there's anything to attach to. I think you're going to have to bolt it. You're going to have to do a through bolt through the roof. I'm trying to think back to my shuttle bus days. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, hold on. I need to be over here. School bus interior. Diana has a school bus like this. It's shorter. It's like a 4 or 5 window, but it basically looks, the roof is the same. Like this. So if you look at the roof, there's really no attach points that are going to be strong enough for a swing or a bench or a seat, just based on screwing through the metal. So I think you're going to have to do a through bolt. You're going to have to basically get like, if you go to Home Depot, they have these it's called like an eye bolt, like this. I'm sure you've seen these before. So you're going to have to drill a hole all the way through the roof, and then put one of these eye bolts through it. And if you need a couple anchor points, you can do two eye bolts. And then you'll have to have like a washer on each side of the eye bolt and then a nut. And then if you just seal it, if you seal the hell out of it from the roof with Dicor or some kind of a mastic sealant, you'll be fine. It's not going to leak as long as you seal it well. But that's, in my mind, that's your only option, is you're going to have to put a hole through the roof. David says get the four-way at a junkyard. That's a good idea for Diana. If you want to even save more money, you could go get one at a junkyard. But it's pretty easy to get one on Amazon, and they're only 16 bucks. So that's a good idea. Rhymes with Orange said, how difficult is it to get the truck registered as an RV? So here's the thing. It's really easy to get a vehicle registered as an RV, but it has to be built out like an RV. So it depends what state you're in. Each local DMV will have their own requirements for registering your vehicle as an RV. But for example, I did my last one in Arizona, and they have a checklist of like 10 items that would be in an RV, like cooking appliance, toilet, fresh water tank, heat source, like a heater, refrigerator. So they have a list of like 10 items you would find in an RV that would basically you need to live in a vehicle. And out of those 10 items, you have to have like 5 or 6 of them in your vehicle. And if your vehicle has 5 or 6 of those 10 items, it qualifies as an RV. And that's it. If it checks the box, then you just submit for a new title. And I don't know what the cost is, $100 or something. And that's it. Easy peasy. And then once you have it registered as an RV, you can get RV insurance, which is much, much cheaper. Back when I had my last box truck registered as an RV, insurance was like $30 a month. Right now I'm paying $80 to have this thing registered as a commercial vehicle. Somebody else in the chat, Niger, Nerger, asking, how easy is it to change out a generator RV to all solar? Not easy. It's not easy. Because here's the thing, right? An average generator is like going to be 3,000, 5,000, 7,000 watts. If you want the solar equivalent, that means you need 3,000, 5,000, 7,000 watts of solar. The maximum solar you're going to fit on an RV, depending on the size, like the absolute maximum is going to be around 3,000 watts. And that is assuming you have like a full roof rack, bumper to bumper, right? So it's not easy. If you have a regular RV with a rooftop AC or a couple ACs, and you have a couple vent fans, the amount of solar you can fit is very limited. You're going to be limited to, maybe 12 or 1,500 watts. So it's not easy, which is why most RVs have generators. At the end of the day, if you want to create energy, electricity, there's not many more better ways to do it than with fossil fuel. Matt AK says, I'm older than you. My tour bus driving days was over a decade ago. Yeah, I hear you, man. I definitely wouldn't want to be doing that now. But I'm sure it was fun when you were younger and having some adventure. But he says, okay, Matt AK says, if anyone wants a fun job where you're on the road a lot, I can definitely recommend it. It can give you a feel of being a nomad. I agree. Something else you might consider. So the tour bus job is cool because you just show up to work. The company provides and maintains the vehicle. But something else you can do if you want to be a nomad and also work is, I know a buddy that has a box truck that here in San Diego, and he hauls freight with it. So he has enough room in the back of his box truck for 2 pallets. and he has a big box truck. It's like a 20-foot box, but he can haul 2 pallets. And so he transports pallets back and forth. But I've seen people on YouTube that can fit 2 pallets in a full length Sprinter. And so he has 2 pallets in the back, and then in the front section, he has his living quarters. And so he makes a living transporting freight across the country. Carl says if your diesel box truck has air brakes, you can put an outlet on the air tank and run air tools like impact guns and grinders. That's a good idea. I like that. That's a very good idea. Also, you can just put an air line for blowing stuff out. It'd be nice to be able to blow out the box truck once in a while instead of having to run the vacuum. Popo says, I'm a single woman traveler. What's WRTR? Popo, WRTR is an acronym. It stands for Women's Rubber Tramp Rendezvous. You should definitely, if you're a traveler, if you're a new nomad at all, you should definitely check out the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous. It's basically a meetup in the desert. It's a good spot for nomads to meet up. Here's their website for it. They are meeting up January. So there's a women's only version, which is for women to talk about women things. And that is January 8th through the 10th. And then there's the general RTR, which is for everybody. And that's the 11th through the 16th. So it's all in the same location. So if you're going for the women's, I would definitely recommend you stick around for the men's as well, or the general admission as well. But yeah, it's in the desert in Quartzsite. You camp in the desert, and then they hold the daytime events at the baseball park, or at the baseball field at the park. It's a fun event. It's free. Yeah, and there's a lot of good information. They have speakers all day, all kinds of seminars and shops, and I definitely recommend it. Suron Dave says, I'm already thinking about it. Hell yeah, that's my boy. Suron Dave, already thinking about it. So I'll drop a little preview here in the live stream tonight. This is exclusive information. Nobody knows about this except for me and Suron Dave and Nomad King Gamer and Dan's Gaming Van. These are probably the only people on planet Earth that know about this. And so I'll drop a little preview, but so Suron Dave currently travels full-time in his box truck, and he runs an e-commerce business selling e-bike parts, and that's how he generates his income. And he's had a couple really good months where he made some significant money. And I really like what he's doing. I like his work ethic. You know, he seems like he is on top of his business, and he's hustling and taking customer calls and shipping out packages, and he's built a good business for himself. And I was interested in doing something similar for the van life community, a website that would have all kinds of different van life related products, and also electrical products. And so, but also I'm just already so busy. I don't have time to do everything Suron Dave does in a day because it's a full-time job basically. So me and Suron Dave are partnering up. We're going to create a website for nomads. And the thing I'm really excited about is my goal is to be able to help other nomads DIY stuff. So this isn't going to be a regular website. This isn't like Amazon where you just go on and buy stuff. You can if you want. You can just go buy stuff. But really my intention is I want to be able to add value to products to help people that can DIY. So, like, for example, this bed lift, right? Like, I realize there's a gap in the market for some type of a motorized bed lift that's about $1,000 instead of $3,000. So if we could go find that product, create that product, and then sell it on the website, I think it would be a great service for people. But the main thing that I'm focused on, because what my job is doing electrical for people. So I'm going to be putting together DIY electrical kits. Because for the last few months, I've been designing electrical systems for people and then giving them Amazon parts lists, and then they're having to like cut and crimp wires, and there's still a little bit of skills involved, and I want to make it even easier for people. So I'm going to be basically having options on this website where you can order Like you could basically install an entire solar system without having to cut or crimp a wire. That's my goal, an entire electrical system. So I'm going to be pre-making by hand like all the wiring, the different cabling and stuff you need. And also I will be available to guide you through the process of understanding what you need. So basically, if you're trying to do electrical in a box truck, say, I can do an online meeting with you, figure out what you want, and then I can basically build all the different wires and stuff you need and ship it to you. And then at that point, all you're having to do is just connect wires and, tighten a few bolts, and you could have basically the entire electrical system in your vehicle installed very simply at a good price. A much lower price than hiring somebody like me to install it for yourself. So we're going to be doing that, and we're going to do all kinds of products. So I'm going to start with electrical because that's what I know, and I know there's a big demand for like some kind of an in-between DIY project where you can do it yourself, but you have some expert guidance. But I'd like to be able to offer plumbing solutions and just all kinds of different solutions to kind of make DIY easier, because I realize it takes a pretty big skill set to do a box truck conversion. I was an HVAC technician for 10 years, and that's how I learned plumbing and electrical and mechanical and all these different skill sets. And I realized not everybody has that skill set, but a lot of people still want to DIY and they want to have the skills and the knowledge. So hoping to bring that to you guys in the very near future. Me and Dave are in talks right now on just all the fine details of making it happen. I've already ordered a bunch of parts. They're being shipped to my dad's house. And so I'm going to be doing some initial prototypes and getting stuff ready. But I would like to have a website up and running and functional this winter. So, I mean, it's already October, end of October, almost November, but I would like to have the website be up, and I haven't talked to Dave about this, but I'd like to have something functional, December or January at the latest. So that'll be coming very shortly. I'll make more videos and announcements about it. And that's also going to coincide with the new van build. So as I do the build out, I want to show you guys all the steps, all the materials I'm using, how I'm doing everything, how I'm installing water pumps and windows. And I also want to be able to offer the products directly to you guys from my website. So hopefully it'll be a comprehensive DIY, vehicle conversion one-stop shop. So that's the news. Now you guys know. Everyone that came to the live stream tonight, you've been informed. There's information coming. There's a website coming from Nomad Brad. I've teased it for years. I've wanted to do it for years. Diana Saylor remembers Van Life RX, and it didn't quite work out. But this time it's going to work out, and I'm confident with Dave's expert help, I'll be able to follow through. Where's Winnie? She says, so are plumbers men, but I was one for years, so please don't assume, bro. You kind of lost my time. I was not insulting women. I'm just saying my explanation was that in general, there are more men that work in the trades than women. Generally, women don't work in the trades. So if you go to a women's only meetup, I was saying there's probably less women that have experience working in the trades than if you go to a co-ed meetup where there's going to be a lot of men, right? Typically, auto mechanics are men and a lot more plumbers are men. I'm not saying all. I'm happy we have a woman plumber on the chat, and I know a woman that's an auto mechanic. So I'm not saying that women are not plumbers or mechanics, but I'm saying if you look at the numbers, there's far more men who are. Avery says, make a bed lift with a Harbor Freight winch. Yeah, that's an idea too. I thought about that. So that's something I would just have to work out the details on. And maybe that's something me and Dave can put our heads together on. Maybe, because Harbor Freight winches are pretty cheap. You can get a Harbor Freight winch for like 150 bucks, maybe less. So maybe we can do one with a winch. The only thing is well, you know what? They might even have 12-volt winches because they do winches on ATVs. An ATV winch might be the way to go. Yeah, look at this. Are they should be 12 volts. ATVs don't have 110. This might be the solution, Sir on Dave. Let's see what it says. It's got to be 12 volts, right? Of course, they don't tell you the voltage. Something else, my website, I'm so sick of websites that you go to and they hide the information. Like, why does it not tell me the voltage of this winch? That should be front and foremost. On my website, I promise, I will not hide information. It will be easily accessible. Look at this. All this information tells me the gear ratio. It does not tell me the voltage. That is nuts. Okay. Let's stop complaining and let's go. Here we go. I don't want to pay that much money though. 175 bucks. Let's just go to Amazon. See, that's why we go to Amazon. It's easy. You got to make stuff easy. 12-volt ATV winch. Yeah, so here we go. On Amazon, here's a 3,500 pound 12-volt ATV winch for 116 bucks. So something like this, actually, Sir on Dave, maybe this is the plan. If we can figure out the rigging required, because we have to figure out the geometry. You have to have the winch, but then we're going to have some pulleys up on top to like make everything happen. And then some kind of like eyelets on the post of the bed. But if we can put together a package for people to DIY this, with some instructions, then there you go. Now, all of a sudden, we have a bed lift and maybe we can sell it for 500 instead of 1,000. And dude, we would absolutely clean up all these poor people that have to spend $3,000 on a Happy Jack. They could get a bed lift from us for 500 bucks, and we could use. I mean, if that winch is rated for 3,500, your average mattress is 50 pounds, bed frames 50 pounds. We're only pulling 100 pounds. So appreciate the comment, Avery. That might be the move. 12-volt ATV winch with some pulleys, and then we'll make it a whole package. We'll have the winch, we'll have the pulleys, we'll have all the proper rope, the connectors. Maybe we can even figure some kind of a modular bed frame, and then have, of course, instructions, also video instructions. So if you buy this, you can DIY it, build it yourself, and then you have the instructions on how to do it, and also now you have the knowledge, right? Rather than buying something pre-assembled, you know exactly how to do it. Code Red says 100 amps DC to DC can replace a generator. Well, the thing is though, a DC to DC is only going to run while the engine's running. So yeah, I mean, if you want to idle your engine, then you can use a DC to DC charger, but it's not the same. That's why they have generators, not just big alternators on RVs, because running the generator is separate. And like the generators are more efficient, they're quieter. Well, maybe not quieter. Some of the generators are pretty loud, but yeah, you can do a DC to DC, but at the end of the day, it's still a lot, to try to replace a 5,000 watt generator with a DC charger and some solar. Diana QQ, is there a kit for a regular bike to make an e-bike? All the questions tonight and all the answers shall be delivered. Diana Sailor, yes, there is. You can get an e-bike motor kit on Amazon. And it's something that you're probably going to want to go on YouTube and figure out how to do it. It's going to require a little bit of DIY, but they totally have them. I was just talking with Sir and Dave about this the other night, about they have kits to take a regular bike and make it an e-bike. So, basically you add the motor assembly to the I don't know what you call that, the hub, the center part of the bike, and then you still have to add a battery pack and a controller. So, You can see what it looks like. It's a little messy. It's definitely not as pretty or as clean as just buying an e-bike. That's, I mean, all those cables and stuff, but it's cheap. This kit's only 170 bucks. So if you already have a bike that you like and you want to add an e-bike kit, you can definitely do it. Bargain Labels says, I'm e-commerce also. I assume you have a label business. Maybe we can do business together. Are you a nomad, Bargain Labels? I'm curious. Or are you getting into nomad life? Oh yeah, Popo needs a supercharger. I honestly, Popo, I don't know if they have electric car chargers in Quartzsite. I would say the chances are pretty low, but you can check. The town's called Quartzsite, so if you check on your EV charging app, look at Quartzsite, Arizona, and see if there's anything. But I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. So where's Winnie? Here's the thing. Like I said, I worked, on talking about women in the women's RTR. I worked with Bob Wells, and I worked side by side with Sue Ann, the one that runs the WRTR, and she specifically told me they do WRTR so that women can talk about women things. They talk about the biology of being a woman and being a nomad. They talk about how to urinate as a woman nomad. They talk about, and then they have like woman chat where they talk about like abusive relationships. I mean, they have like some stuff that's almost like counseling where women only want, they don't want men around. That's why they do it. So yeah, it's women things. It's stuff that you experience as a woman. So that's why they have WRTR. I don't mean that derogatory. Um, but yeah, so that you could see why they would have a woman's only thing, because I mean, you're not necessarily going to go deep into detail about, female biology issues living in a vehicle. If it's mixed company, it's probably more comfortable to talk about it in a woman only group. Charlie Pepin with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate you. Yeah, website's going to be dope. It's going to be excited. I'm really excited. It's going to help me out, be more of a nomad, and not have to run around and do physical installs as much. I want to be able to help you guys more, because so many of my followers are not local, right? They're spread all over the country. And so if I'm doing physical electrical installs, I can only help people that are located in my proximity. And so my goal, the reason I really wanted to start this out is because I had so many people reaching out to me wanting electrical help, and I wasn't physically close to them. I couldn't help them. But I'm confident that with what I have in mind, the way this is going to work is basically all you're going to have to do is just buy the parts and assemble them. Turn some screws, use a screwdriver. It's going to be so easy and, foolproof. You won't need a whole bunch of knowledge and experience to make it happen. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to help people out. Carefree Highway electrical kits based on customer requirements. Yeah, so that's the thing is you can go right now online and you can buy some generic like electrical wiring diagrams and you can buy some kits, but there's nobody that's actually doing specific stuff like for your situation. Like I do consultations one-on-one. Right now, or last week, I just finished a design for an ambulance. I mean, we had an hour-long sit-down. He told me everything he wants. I went and built a complete wiring diagram for his vehicle. I spec'd out all the proper fuse sizes. I mean, everything that I would normally do if I was doing the install myself. So all this guy has to do is basically have a consult with me, tell me what he wants, tell me his budget, for like what, components and what batteries he can afford. And then I just send him all the stuff. And then I send him instructions on how to put it together. So super simple. I think a lot of people will appreciate it. Acer Chromebook says there is a couple of miles away in Quartzsite. There's an EV charger for Popo. Congratulations. Bargain labels. I can. What does he say? Oh man, the chat's cruising. I can help with e-commerce info. Doing it almost 2 decades. David, coffee. Get the remote control on the winch. Yes, I agree. I know on the winches there's options. Um, so I'll try to find an ATV winch with a remote. But yeah, that's. I think we just figured it out here tonight. And I appreciate you guys for being here. We're working on solutions together. I think me and Dave are going to have to come up with a bed lift idea, and we'll blow that out on the website. Popo says I can hit up Joshua Tree on the way to RTR. Absolutely, you can. Yeah, Joshua Tree is directly on the opposite side of Quartzsite. It's a good plan. Dustin says 100 amps is a lot to ask off a stock alternator. Yeah, that's a good point. You're not going to do a 100 amp DC charger off a stock alternator. 50 to 60 amps is already asking a lot. You're going to have to upgrade your alternator. You're going to fry out a stock alternator if you're pulling 100 amps continuously. Debo, he was the one that gifted the super chats last, or the subscriptions last week. Debo, I appreciate you. He says you can create a chatbot AI, or you can create an AI chatbot for your website. I appreciate that, man. I'm over my head. The thing is, I'm over my head on that, and it's like I'm already so busy, and I already do so much that I can't learn a new thing. Like I can't go learn AI and build a chatbot and plug it into my website. Like I ain't got time for that. But I appreciate the offer. I'm glad to know it's out there. Maybe I'll find someone that knows how to do it, and they can help me with that. Andrea Vodakova. Hi, Brad. So good seeing you live. Andrea with Tiny Bird Bus from Tiny Fest. Oh, yeah. Andrea, hello. I met Andrea at Tiny Fest. I did a tour video of her white bus. Very nicely laid out. I'm impressed with the space, how she used it. Big bed in the back, big closet. Yeah, turned out pretty nice. Happy to see you here. I think Andrea's a photographer, if I remember correctly. Bargain Label says Nomad since 2012. Man, you're an OG. Oh, over 10 years in the game. Various vehicles, storage units, you name it. Happy to hear it. South Florida. Very nice. Code Red says 100 amps is not asking that much. Well, the alternator in my rig, my stock alternator is like 130 amps. And if I take 100 amps out of 130 amps, I'm not going to have a lot left. So I think 100 amps is asking a lot. That's my opinion. Will Ty, how did the handle all the wiring that was in the ambulance? Did he take it all out? Yes. Well, okay, so this guy bought the ambulance from another guy that started the conversion. So I think it was already gutted when he bought it, I think. But yeah, I mean, honestly, anyone that's buying an ambulance, I would just strip all that wiring and start from scratch. Because anyone I know that lives in a converted ambulance, I got like 3 or 4 ambulance friends. Everyone I know, they have electrical issues. They have like power loss issues, or a thing that was functioning stops functioning. There's so many like relays and switches and circuits, and most of it's 10, 15, 20 years old, and it's he has like it's like a bible, this book he has of wiring diagram. It's a mess. So I would just gut everything and start over. It's going to be way easier in the future. All right, guys. I'm exhausted. It's 8 o'clock. We went for 2 hours tonight. These lives keep going longer, which I'm okay with. I'm happy to hang out as long as you guys are active and asking questions, and we're making progress. We started at 6. It's 8 o'clock. I gotta make some food. I'm hungry, and but we did good tonight. We covered all kinds of bases. We answered a ton of questions. Someone helped me out with the bed lift. We're going to look at ATV winches. And so I love it. That's what, the nomad spirit is all about, helping each other, just do the thing and be more successful nomads. So I appreciate everyone that came by tonight. Thank you for all the super chats, everybody that donated, Charlie Pepin, Avery, also the people that donated memberships to other people. I appreciate that. Donkey to Dawn joined as a silver member. Avery had another super chat. Thank you everybody for being here tonight. It was super informative. I will have a video up Sunday if you guys want to watch. And then next Wednesday at 6 p.m. again, I will be going live from Arizona. So tune in next Wednesday. I'll be in Arizona. Come say hi. Bring your questions. Bring your curiosity. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much. Nomad Brad signing out. Peace.